Good morning and happy Wednesday to all of you crypto investors. Now, in today's video, I'm going to be covering pretty briefly a pretty big problem that I think XRP is facing right now that could have major implications for its price, at least in the short term. And we're also going to talk about today's court hearing that could also have some pretty big implications for what the next few months look like for XRP, especially in its case against the SEC. So with that said, we're not going to waste any more time at all, and we're going to get straight into today's video. So XRP has had a pretty solid day today, up about 5%, currently sitting at a $25 billion market cap with a higher volume than usual at about 1.2 billion, of course putting it at the fourth largest crypto in the market right now, only behind Bitcoin, Ethereum, and BNB. Now, of course, as I mentioned before, there is a pretty important court hearing today, of course, between Ripple versus Zakhanov. This isn't necessarily the SEC case itself, but it could establish some type of precedent that, of course, I think you need to hear about. Now, after we talk about this, we are going to go into the major problem that XRP is facing today. So as we can see here, this is a crucial class action hearing taking place. Of course, this class action lawsuit against Ripple Labs for selling XRP as an unregistered security is picking up some steam. The case, which is being litigated in the state of California, will see a class certification hearing at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard. Now, a class certification is a court order that gives plaintiffs the right to proceed on behalf of a particular class of plaintiffs in a class action lawsuit. If the judge already denies that order, the case, which has been ongoing since 2018, could end sooner than expected. Now, I don't believe personally that he is going to deny this order. I think we've come very far for it to end that way. I don't think it makes a lot of sense. And although this isn't necessarily the SEC case itself, there of course could be the establishment of precedent within litigation that could impact the case with the SEC. Now, as many of you know, there are two sides of the XRP community, those that side with the SEC, a smaller few, and those that side with Ripple. Now, this lawsuit features those sides going head to head. Zakhanov, of course, in his class saying, look, XRP is security. We're also going to file suit against Ripple for selling it to us, oddly enough. And then, of course, there are the people who are defending Ripple and Ripple itself saying, no, it's not. You're not right. Now, again, this is not the core SEC versus Ripple case, but it could be extremely important going forward, as, of course, this could be a situation in which if something beneficial does come out of this or detrimental comes out of this, it could be established as some type of precedent that is then used in the SEC case as a whole. What you must understand is that precedent is one of the most commonly used things within litigation. And so, for example, if one judge rules a certain way about a certain lawsuit, if a similar lawsuit approaches in the future judge will use the ruling of that former judge more often than not because, again, it's precedent. And of course, they wouldn't want to go against the precedent within the law. Now, do I agree with that? No, not necessarily. I think times change, but whenever it is this short term and whenever these things are so, not separated by much time, I think it is something we need to watch out for. So definitely do tune in at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard because, of course, again, that could be rather important for you. But with that said, of course, let's move further into what is this massive problem that I believe XRP is facing right now. So what you can see here is we are on the XRP charts and we just got a confirmation of something that has historically predicted almost every single strong crash that XRP has had. So what we're going to be using today is the weekly chart prime oscillator. You can get access to your chart prime oscillator down in the description below, but this is one of the best indicators on earth, mark my words. And what we can see here is that there is a rather common occurrence within this weekly chart prime oscillator. The moments in which we get these overbought readings, the moments in which we get these indications that there may be some type of pullback on the weekly charts, we almost always will get one. Let me explain. What you can see here is that there have only been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times that we have seen this overbought reading start to flash on the XRP weekly chart. Let me show you when those were. The first time was January of 2018 when we put in the all-time high. The second time was whenever we got this little bounce towards the upside here before eventually continuing the pull to the downside, which of course did look like a move of well over, 60 to 70%. The next time after that was before we thought that we were going to start to get this bull market started, before we entered into 3 months of consolidation and a nice little pullback towards the downside, looking right around 30%. The next time after that was back in December of 2020 before its price saw a pullback of 78%. The following time after that, we saw a pullback of 73%. And the most recent time before what we are seeing right now was back in September of 2022 before the eventual pullback of 44% to the downside. And what you can see right now is we are getting that indicator flashing right now. Now, does this mean that we are for sure going to get a pullback? No, not necessarily. There are not any guarantees in crypto, but what I do know is that the last 6 times that we've seen this happen, we have seen a pullback. So I have no reason to believe that it wouldn't happen at this point. What you can see here is that currently the price has pulled back a pretty decent and respective amount, currently sitting around 17%, but on average, when this indicator flashes, we will see anywhere between 40 to 70% to the downside. So we're not really what we would consider to be within the median right now at this given point. Now, moving forward, there are other indications that imply that some type of pullback on the macros could be on the way. What you can see here is that we did just get a drive of bearish divergence to the top side, which is indicated by these 2 peaks being connected by this orange line. It indicates that we are setting a higher high here on our oscillator, but the lower high here on the actual price itself, which again says, hey, we may be in a position in which we may see a pullback. We can also see here that this blue circle has formed. This blue circle is a peak finder, and historically, when our peak finder flashes, it also says, hey, look, listen, buddy, we may get a pullback soon here. The last time our peak finder flashed was back here in April of 2021, before we, of course, did see this eventual pullback of originally 70%, but continued down towards 85%. That was the only other time that we did get the peak finder flashing to the top side, and so again, it implied, listen, we may get some type of pullback. Now, on top of that, we can also see that we did get this reversal here on the oscillator band itself, in which we reached this overbought territory. We got the reversal to the downside, and our ribbon did twist back into the red shade. The last time we got a twist back into the red shade was back here, and as I mentioned before, that was then followed by a pullback towards the downside from peak to trough of about 47% to the downside. All of these things imply to me that we are in position to see some type of pullback towards the downside. You can also see that XRP is currently forming some type of ascending wedge towards the upside, which the price needs to break back above about 62 cents to get out of. And so what this says to me is that under the current circumstances in which we're in, XRP absolutely needs to break out of this wedge immediately. And I'm talking within the next few weeks before possibly revisiting towards the bottom side of this wedge, which could look like a fall back towards as low as 30 cents to the downside. Now, I am under the belief that in the macro, XRP is going to break upwards. I think all of these things going on, and with Coinbase suing the SEC and the SEC starting to lose its steam, I think that XRP and Ripple is setting itself up to see a beautiful resolution and solving of their case with the SEC, which I do believe will put them in position to see some growth. But until that happens, who knows what could happen from this point forward, and some type of move and pull back to the downside of upwards of 30% is well within the realm of possibility. Now, we have been talking a lot about the fact that we are forming some type of double bottom here, right? And that if we are capable of breaking about 60 cents, XRP could be in a position to break back up towards $1 due to the fact that this could have a beautiful breakout target currently sitting back around $1.10 to retest this macro Fibonacci zone between $1 and $1.20. So we very well could get a move back up towards this level once we do break here. But while we are still waiting for that to happen, you must understand that we are at a massive risk of seeing some type of pullback to the downside. But there is a saving grace, and there is some precedent that says that we possibly could get that move, and that this indicator right here may not be, kind of implying that a stronger pullback is on the way. Let's look at what that was. The best example that we have of this is going to be back here in 2020, which kind of conveniently was when the bull market was about to start, which could be a similar position to which we are in right now. What you can see here is that as XRP made its first move towards the top side, we started to get this major indicator flashing. Now, at that given point in time, we had a beautiful layer of resistance, which was sitting right around 22 cents. And as we were approaching that layer, we already started to get this overbought rating flashing. It was flashing while we were putting in what many would consider to be a cup and handle pattern. But what happened is that XRP broke out of that structure. It broke that key level of resistance. And although it did eventually see the pullback to the downside due to this indicator flashing, that pullback was simply just a retest of that previous layer of resistance. It then established that resistance into support for a beautiful RS flip before continuing to the top side. So historically speaking, what you can see here is that there is precedent to say that if we're capable of breaking resistance, this indicator could be an implication that we are going to backtest support for a more extended period of time. So if we do then apply that to what we are seeing right now, that could possibly say that under these circumstances, if we're capable of breaking 55 to 60 cents to the upside, that may be the point in time in which we come back to backtest that previous layer of support before then hopefully looking to continue. But if that is not the case, it is an implication that we will revisit the bottom side of what could be this ascending channel, which again could be a move of about 20 to 30% to the downside. And so make sure that you are paying incredibly close attention to this interaction. We're not going to have very long before we are getting forced back to the downside. So currently we are back testing this little layer of support and resistance here, and if we can use that to bounce back above 55 cents, I think we're in the good, I think we're in the clear, I think we're going to likely pull back and try to hold that level for maybe a few weeks or possibly a few months, but we would be in position to continue this move. But again, if not, if we start coming back down below 43 cents, do expect further continuation to the bottom side, and I will of course continue to update you as that does play out. Now, before we do go ahead and wrap up today's video, there is something that I want to talk to you all about because I think there is potential for some pretty strong gains, and historically we have seen some amazing results from, and that is of course our friends over at KingPad Finance and what they are doing with ONYX Games. Now, if KingPad Finance rings a bell, it's because we did recently talk about their very first IDO in which they raised over 1.8 thousand BNB and then went on to have an amazing launch that made a lot of you some strong gains, especially even up until this day. Now, what we can see here is that KingPad Finance is now going to be having another IDO for the ONYX game in which they are raising 75 ETH for their first ETH-based presale. Now, you all know that I have been kind of playing my hand in some of these lottery tickets that I call these launches because that's what I believe they are. I think that these small cap cryptos are super risky but can produce some amazing rewards, and so I put a little bit of money into each one and kind of just see what happens. I know a lot of you do too, so let's talk a little bit about the ONYX game and why I'm going to be putting just a little bit of money into it and seeing how it plays out. So as I mentioned before, again, we are talking about the ONYX game, which is a play and earn game, not a play to earn game, and I will explain that difference in a little bit. Now, as a brief introduction, ONYX Games is a video game development company that aims to create a high quality game in Unreal Engine 5. ONYX, their play and earn MMORPG, is set in the continent of Dredera, which is shrouded in mystery and home to humanoid cat-like creatures. The game's lore is deep and immersive, and players can enjoy a variety of game modes, including dungeons, raids, PvP arenas, and more as the game development progresses. The play and earn aspect of the game means that players can earn in-game currency and other rewards by playing and participating in various activities in the game. Now, some of you are asking the question, why am I so specific on the fact that they are play and earn, not play to earn? Well, let's talk about that in just a little bit. Now, technically, P2E and P&E are the same. We play to earn or play to get a reward. However, the surge of P2E games last year and players playing for the sole purpose of making profit created a big issue and an unsustainable economy for most play to earn games. It is due to people focusing on return of investment instead of playing the game to have fun and being entertained, which is of course how the game should be. It's all about the game developer's intention. Is it for fast money like click to earn, or about creating a fantastic video game that is fun and rewarding? Play and earn intends to improve the experience with mainstream style titles that already provide a fantastic gaming experience. P&E focuses on the gameplay first model. The goal is to have fun like any traditional game and earn rewards as you play the game. Now, the reason that I believe this to be so incredibly important is the fact that we are currently seeing a massive revolution and evolution within that gaming industry itself towards cryptocurrencies. And the issue is that when we saw Axie Infinity blow up, for example, those weren't the best graphics, those weren't the best features, and it wasn't necessarily the most fun game to play ever. And this isn't something that's going to be super appealing to your typical gamer, whether it be a 15-year-old, whether it be a 20-year-old, or a 30-year-old that wants to play games to have fun. They want to play games for the experience and the fun of it, not necessarily just to make money. But if you can introduce making money to a fun and immersive game, then that is even more incentivizing than a normal game that you can't make money within. Now, this also pairs well with the fact that 55% of millennial gamers own cryptocurrency, and 80% of this group are interested in using cryptocurrency to make transactions within gaming. It is very, very clear and obvious that this is a massive group of people and a conglomerate of people that would love to be introduced within the world of crypto, but these games that focus specifically on making money aren't going to be all that appealing to that crowd. And so going forward, I do really look forward to how they continue to evolve this game with a more gameplay first model, because I think that is, again, what will be more appealing towards mass adoption within the gaming community. If you do want more information about how this game is going to play out, what are some of the different classes, how you can play it, and more, make sure you do check out the link in the description, and don't forget that they are holding their pre-sale today, so if you do want to get involved, you definitely can using the links down below. But with that said, guys, that is going to be about it for today's video. Again, make sure you pay very close attention to what is happening here with this bearish divergence, with this peak finder flashing, with these overbought readings, all on the weekly chart prime indicator. This is something that will very likely have a major impact on the price of XRP moving forward, so you cannot miss it. But with that said, make sure you do subscribe to the channel so you see my daily YouTube shorts covering some altcoin technical analysis, and of course our daily YouTube videos as well. And with that said, I will see you all next time. Peace.